This is what you see when you launch Sketch, and once we create a new document, what we're going to do right now, we're having our user interface here that really doesn't show us much. We could, for example, insert a new rounded rect here right away, and we could also configure it. But most cases, when we're working with Sketch, we're working within a so-called artboard. And I'm going to remove this rectangle for now, and if we click on the insert button again and have a look at artboard, then you can also see that I can insert an artboard by pressing A on my keyboard. So I'm selecting artboard right now, and on the right side you will see that we get a bunch of options for different Apple devices. I could also select Android devices or responsive websites, but since we're developing iOS applications, we of course are interested in Apple devices, and we're also interested in our devices in portrait mode. At the moment, we could also choose landscape, but we're very fine with portrait right now. And the first option that we have here is simply an iPhone 8 screen resolution. We could also use an iPhone 8 Plus, SE, or iPhone 10, iPad, and so on. But I'm definitely go with the iPhone 8 right now. It's a very popular model, and it also makes sense to develop your design from an iPhone 8 or 8 Plus perspective, and then also adapt that, for example, for the iPhone 10 and the iPhone SE. But for now, let's have a look at this artboard right here. It has the correct size of my iPhone 8, and I can move it around by clicking on the iPhone 8 title right here and just move it wherever I want. I can also change its name by clicking on the iPhone 8 artboard. In my navigator, I could call this overview screen, for example. And then this change is also reflected right here in our content area. And I could also create yet another artboard by pressing A again on my keyboard, again selecting iPhone 8, and then I could rename that and say, let's go with detail view controller right here. I can give my artboard a background color, for example, in my inspector on the right, so I'm going with a orange color right here, and maybe on the left I can also activate a background color, select a blue color right there. We can even decide if we want to include this color in the export when we're saving image files to our file system. Then we can decide, do we want this background color to be included or not. And the cool thing in these artboards is that each artboard has its own coordinate system. So once I'm starting to create, for example, a rectangle, in my first artboard, I can, for example, put it in the top left corner. And I can do that by accessing my inspector here and just entering numbers or values for position and go with 0, 0 right here. And as you can see, we have kind of view controllers here if you want to compare it with Xcode and the interface builder. Then each artboard also could represent a view controller. And this is very cool because this is something that we can understand as developers and directly transfer it once we're creating our design in code or using interface builder to do so later. But I think you have grasped the concept of artboards right now, which means that we can continue with some more interesting features in the next video.